Yeah.
Okay, I started it. Okay.
Page.
Starting stream, it says. Aha. We're here.
Are we now?
We are on. We are live.
We are live. That is great.
Yep. Okay. Good deal. We'll wait till a few people get here. If anybody.
Yeah, I'm showing one person.
We may not have anybody watching tonight. That would be hilarious, actually.
Yeah, we went through all that work and like nobody shows up.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. So how was your day? How'd your day go?
It was a pretty good day. A very good day. Kind of busy, but that happens in life.
That happens in life, for sure. I got 2 people watching right now. Probably you, one of them.
Yeah, just to make sure.
You're gonna monitor.
Yeah, monitor.
And somebody else. Are you watching?
Because I'm sharing.
Oh, you're sharing. Okay. CJ's watching in the background. Stand by.
Stand by.
Wait a minute. There it is. All right. We're good. We're good. Okay, we're back. The audio just quit, bro. JB Inc. Message retracted. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Jonathan. Is that Jonathan Babby Inc.?
No.
Okay. Well, I will monitor my audio.
Okay, it's back.
We've kind of got some faulty connection here on audio. Anyway, let's get started, Josh.
Let's do that.
All right, everyone, welcome to Belingle Live tonight. Obviously, my name's Ben.
And I'm Josh.
That's Josh. Pretty self-explanatory. We're so glad to be doing this live. We're going to be doing these every last Monday of the month, starting at 8:30 Central Time. Here we are.
Sounds
it's
good.
8:33 Central Time right now. And we got 8 people watching. Guys, if you have friends who have smartphones, probably have a lot of friends who have smartphones or some type of device, then what I would do is invite them to watch this, because this is going to be a great little live, a little podcast kind of thing we're doing here. So Josh is going to be monitoring the comments just in case anybody says anything. But what we're talking about tonight is something really important, in my opinion, anyway, when it comes to photography. And what that comes down to is everyone's not a photographer.
Yes, this is very true.
Now, some people may disagree with my opinion on that, our opinion on that, but the reason I say that is because if you really think about photography, it's so much more than taking a picture. And the thing is, a lot of people think because they can take a picture that they're suddenly a photographer.
Right. That's like just like me saying, "Oh, look, Snapchat, boom,
Yeah.
post it."
Yeah.
That's not a picture.
You got your little filter or whatever on Instagram
Right,
or
exactly.
Snapchat, and people think, "Oh, I'm a photographer. Oh, I can take selfies. I'm a photographer."
No, because it's all preset with all those filters and stuff.
Or maybe they have like a mentality like I did when I first got my first camera, which was, "Oh, I got a quote-unquote professional camera now. Now I'm a photographer."
Of course, that's what I first thought when I got that Nikon D3000.
Yeah.
Turns out no.
Yeah. So obviously, it doesn't mean you're a photographer, even if you have a camera.
Exactly.
So we're going to kind of break down tonight what we mean by this and kind of what that is all about, what we're talking about tonight. Guys, before we get really into this chat, we'd really, really, really appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. And if you're totally willing to financially help this channel in any way, anything helps, as always, we would really appreciate it if you went to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Belingle. So anyway, yeah, let's get right into this thing, dude. So obviously, like I said, we're talking about, everybody's not a photographer who has a camera.
Yeah.
I want to kind of talk about the problem we had, and basically what it was. Hello, Josh. Thank you for coming. Is that you? The Josh?
No, that is not me.
Okay. Well, anyway, hello, Josh. Daniel, Primo at 420 said 1,500 subs means you're a photographer. Yeah. Nice. Okay, anyway.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for that. So, where does the problem lie with this whole phrase, everyone's not a photographer? I can tell you for us where it started, and we'll tell you guys. We have something locally here. It's sort of like the Facebook Marketplace, but it's a more, obviously, a local marketplace. It's called Heartland Swap.
Oh, yes.
And a lot of people offer their services, and basically what happens, they've just got, maybe it's a kid who got a camera for Christmas or their birthday or whatever it may be, and they start offering their services and start charging people like, hey, I got a camera for Christmas and now I'm a photographer.
I'm a professional. Here, let me charge you for services.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it really comes down to, is that just because, like I said, you have a camera or, whatever, it doesn't mean you're a photographer. And there's so many technical things that go into it. Artistically, you have to know what you're doing as well. It's not just like you're snapping a picture. Because we'll say this, anybody can take a picture, right?
Right.
I think everybody agrees on that. But what it really comes down to is what actually makes a person a photographer. And I would honestly argue it's not the camera. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's knowing the techniques behind all that and knowing what your camera can do, what all the different settings it has, and mainly knowing, like, if you're going to go into the portrait photography business, you got to know what kind of poses there are out there, what your client wants, things like that. Composition,
obviously,
lighting,
exactly. Exposure is like the #1 foundation of all photography, and so that's really important to know. And so, yeah, that's really what it comes down to for me overall. There's a stupid fly flying around here. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, but that's what it really comes down to it for me, which would be like the exposure triangle, right? We're talking about shutter speed, ISO, your aperture, and then of course you have the other little technical and artistic things like composition, like you said, lighting. All of that really plays into what makes a photographer. So we're going to kind of categorize now some things about that we've noticed from, maybe people who are just getting started in their own photography. Like we said, everybody starts somewhere. Right. You've got to learn. We're going to show some of our first images and some of the images we've taken recently that kind of shows the progression of our photography, how we went from kind of drag, kind of not great looking, to what we're now really pleased with how our work looks, right?
Yes.
So anyway, let's talk about for a minute post-production.
Okay. What exactly is post-production?
Obviously, post-production is when you're editing your images, all of that, changing the color or having to bump up the exposure, your contrast, clarity, all that type of stuff. You use Lightroom, Photoshop, you know what we're talking about. So when it comes to post-production, I notice a lot of these people who got like a camera for Christmas or something along those lines, they don't know really how to process their images.
This is true.
In my mind, anyway.
I've seen a lot of, okay, for the sake of views, I'm going to say, not great, but not bad, but somewhere in between. Kind of like poor, and it just overall changes the aspect of the picture.
I agree.
What post-production does.
I agree. And so that's one of the problems, I guess you could say, with a lot of people who think because they have a camera. So that fly, it's like swarming through. A lot of people who have the problem of, or the idea of, I'm a photographer now that I have a camera, is that they don't really know how to properly process their images. One of the biggest problems I personally see, my biggest thing right now that I'm seeing that's a problem and like people getting started or whatever. Like I said, we're gonna keep saying this through this live stream. We've got to start somewhere. But one of the biggest things that I see is the vignetting. And for people who don't know what vignette is, that's the basic. You got that kind of black or white border around your image. That's vignette. Vignetting is natural among lenses. Like wider lenses, like a 1.4 lens or a 1.8 or a 2.0, even a 2.8 lens, you're going to see naturally some vignetting. But you can also add vignetting in post as well.
This is true.
And one of the things I see people adding is like a crazy amount of vignetting. Have you seen that in some of these?
I have.
Some of these images, like
I have.
Cringeworthy amounts of vignetting.
Yeah. Some I've seen, you'll basically take the picture and you'll basically create like this white globe around the subject per se.
Yep.
In some cases that does work, but in most it totally throws the picture.
Yep. I agree. It's a major problem, but I guess if they're okay with that and they like that, then that's their thing, I guess. Okay, the other thing I see is color saturation.
Yes, that is a major thing.
It seems like they take the saturation slider in Photoshop or Lightroom and just crank it to 100%.
That's true.
It looks terrible.
At that point, it'll totally really make everything like forcibly come out, and it kind of looks creepy in a way. Like
it looks unnatural.
Exactly. Like if it's a picture of a person and you did that, it looked like the person's trying to jump out at you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It just looks unnatural. It looks cheap. Kind of looks cheap to me.
Yeah, cheap.
I don't know. That's just me, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, that's as far as post-production goes. That's one of the major problems I see, is that you've got that color saturation all off. You've got the vignetting, and the other thing I noticed that seems to be a problem.
Brightness. The exposure.
The exposure becomes a major problem.
Oh, very.
And some of these pictures I've seen of people who think they're a photographer offering their services, $20 for a session, you get 40 images on a disc and all edited and whatever, and it sounds great, right? $20 for a quote-unquote professional photography.
Too good to be true.
Too good to be true. That's what you need to look out for. If you're a consumer and not a photographer, when it comes to photography, be careful of too good to be true deals, okay? They do exist. They do happen. Sometimes we run some decent deals in our little area and whatever, but be careful of that, because half the time what you're going to find is that you put your money in where the quality's at.
That's right.
So if you're going to use $20 and pay someone $20, chances are it's probably not going to be that great of images.
Right.
Just saying. And that's with most things anyway, So anyway, what do you got? You want to talk about some stuff?
Yeah, I got some stuff. I want to talk about the major difference between using social media filters and an actual DSLR camera.
Okay.
In fact, I happen to have one right here. It's my Nikon D750 camera. Now this here is a very fine example of a DSLR camera. I've got the body, and I also got a prime lens on here. And I do want to verify it's not kit. So this is a 105 2.8G ED, which is a very nice lens.
That's the macro version, right?
Yes, it is Nikon's macro version.
And you said that was the D750?
That was the D750.
Okay.
And obviously, it's a huge step between that and this.
And a smartphone.
And a smartphone.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. You had mentioned filters. You meant phone, right? Not filters.
Yeah, filters, like through Snapchat or Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah. And so that's one of the biggest things is that, don't get me wrong, like you can get good photos with a smartphone.
I mean, yeah, sometimes every once in a while you want to have some sort of like cheerful or playful picture, that's great with Snapchat and all. But in the world of professional photography, that kind of gets ruled out.
It does. And it's not professional, right?
Right.
That's the thing. It's like people think that, oh, iPhone has the new blur feature, the portrait mode or whatever. My photos look professional. Well, first of all, if you're calling it a blur mode or blurry background, you're obviously not a professional photographer. Because everybody will know, like if you shoot with, for instance, like that 105 micro lens, you will realize that the blurry background is actually considered bokeh, whatever the proper pronunciation is. And so that's what it is. This is a Japanese word.
Is it?
It is, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know it was a Japanese word?
No, I didn't know that. See, you learn something new every day.
No. Anyway, yeah, no, it's a Japanese word. I believe, if I'm correct, I think it just means out of focus parts or something. But everybody universally refers to it as, bokeh.
Bokeh.
Not blurry background, not whatever. Although, sometimes
in couples portrait photography, it creates kind of like a scene around them. So like you're involving the moment. Like it's directed, all the attention is directly on them. That's what I like about bokeh. Yep,
exactly. Here Google says bokeh has been defined as the way the lens renders out of focus points of light.
Well, that's cool.
There you go.
There you go.
That's what it is. It is a Japanese word. Bokeh. I've heard it both ways. It's like Nikon.
Yeah.
Whatever. Whatever you call it, based in your dialect, that's fine. But anyway.
It says bokeh.
Bokeh.
Bokeh. Bo-K-A-Y.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're going to keep talking, obviously, but we want to know your thoughts as well, so let us know in the comments. And, yeah.
Of course, if you have questions, go ahead and send them in. We'll try to answer them.
Yeah, if you have any questions, too, we'd love to do that, answer some questions from you guys. And once again, we would really appreciate it if you would support us here on YouTube and some of our other social media accounts. So, please subscribe, like this video. Obviously, follow me on Instagram at instagram.com/BenLingleOfficial. And also, if you want to support us via Patreon each month, whatever donation you can, that's patreon.com/Belingle. Okay.
You know what I think is in session? I just want to say, for those who are watching, for what we're talking about here, how everybody's not a photographer, this is not to discourage you into turning away from photography.
Exactly.
This is just some of the things you'll encounter along the way as you make your way from beginner photographer and eventually to professional photographer.
Exactly. And that's the big thing that we're going to keep hitting home here, is that, like we've said probably about 20 times already, everybody's got to start somewhere. Obviously, you're going to make some mistakes, or you're going to, like we said, do the over-vignetting, over-saturation, whatever. But we encourage you, if you want to be a photographer, if you've got that artistic creativity thing going on in your mind, just do it, right?
Exactly. You remember when I first started, right? I had that that old that old Coolpix point and shoot camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is great. And then next thing you know, I see you come out here with your setup, your DSLR, and oh man, forget it. I'm just done. I'm just gonna walk off. But no, actually, that moment actually was a trigger moment for me, because I could see a major difference in the quality of a point and shoot camera versus a DSLR, and then that was a change moment for me, because I really wanted to get in photography, and that was a year and a half ago.
Oh man.
Something like that?
About 2 years ago.
Probably 2 years ago. And now look at us. We're shooting.
And we're still learning today.
Yeah, we're still learning, but we're shooting weddings and portrait photography, and we've come pretty far. We've come pretty far.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not going to sit here and say that, hey, we're the best and we're, the most awesome photographers in the world or whatever. We're not going to say that, because you will learn something new every day. I learn new terms, new techniques, new whatever every single day. And so it's really exciting to learn new things. But you've got to be willing to learn. If you're not willing to learn,
exactly,
then you might as well just put the camera down, honestly.
There's right.
Really no point at that point. But anyway, you mentioned a point and shoot camera. I want to get on that for a minute.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people may feel okay with point and shoot cameras,
Of course, because it's cheap.
It's cheap,
you know, and it you can carry it in like your backpack or your purse or whatever. It's cheap. It's light to carry, and it takes pretty decent pictures. You know.
Yeah.
But it's not going to have all those features like you have on a DSLR.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you're going to tell the difference between quality.
Exactly. The biggest thing is quality. When it comes down to low light performance, sharpness of the images, all of that, it's really obvious which is the better system compared to point and shoot. Now, if you're just going on trips or something, then that's one thing.
Yeah, sure. Like one of those things you could find at like Walgreens, you know, those ones that still use film, you know, that's great.
Disposable cameras.
Yeah, disposable cameras. That's great for trips, you know, if you've say like you're in a hunch and like you really want to take pictures, but you know you don't have a camera. Those are always great.
Exactly, and you go to Walmart, buy a point and shoot for $100.
Yeah,
it's gonna serve you fine if that's all you're doing with it. But for professional work, it's just not suitable and practical to use one of those cameras.
Right.
And the biggest thing that I've noticed between point and shoot cameras and DSLRs and other professional systems, there's quite some obvious differences. We mentioned one, low light performance. The ISO performance, basically the sensitivity, is going to be way better, way better on a DSLR or like a mirrorless professional camera than it will be on, say, a point and shoot camera.
Right.
Weather sealing.
Weather sealing. What's weather sealing?
When we seal the camera sealed weather.
Oh,
for the weather, if it rains, you know, storms, whatever, it's protected.
Right.
That's obviously a major difference.
Right. I can remember I had a really old, tiny point and shoot, and I actually dropped that thing in the rain, and it got ruined. It would not turn back on. No matter what you do to dry it out, it's not that, it doesn't have that durability on it.
Exactly. And that's what it comes down to, is the durability. The other thing you're going to notice a lot in DSLRs versus point and shoots, you can change the lenses.
This is true. That helps out a lot. You can have your zoom lenses for getting real close if you're in a far away spot and you can't get close. You got your macro lenses, which is great for close-up stuff.
Yep.
You got your prime lenses, which is just spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we got our first question here.
Oh, do we?
Yes, this comes from CJ
right.
Lingle that says, what kind of camera do you suggest a novice start with? Actually, I think we kind of covered this in one of our previous videos, did we not?
We did. We did a little bit. So, thanks for the question, CJ, by the way. So, basically, what camera do we recommend? We recommend a DSLR, obviously, or a pro-grade mirrorless camera. But we both don't really recommend getting a DX or a crop sensor DSLR. And kind of crop sensor DSLR will have not as good low light performance as, say, like a full frame mirrorless camera or a full frame DSLR.
That's actually kind of like my D3000 I started off with when I got into DSLRs.
Yep.
It was only really good for direct sunlight, really. Like if you're shooting kind of like at dusk or like that, you could throw it out the door. It's not worthy. It wouldn't work that well. So stuff like the D3000, sure, it even with its kit lens, it's only really good in direct sunlight. I mean, you can get by in some cloudy days, but only really direct sunlight. And it only has very few actual options on there, because I remember the ISO only had certain pre-selected bounces, you know, so you can only do so much around that setting.
Yep, exactly.
Which makes it kind of hard.
Exactly. Yeah. So I started. You said at D3000 you started on. You moved up to the D7100.
Yes, I
did. From
did.
there, which is a major improvement.
It is.
But it's still a crop sensor camera, which it's not a bad camera. The D7100 is a phenomenal camera, and if you don't have one, you can buy them cheap off of eBay. But anyway.
Or Amazon.
Or Amazon even. Yeah. But then you now moved up to your first full frame camera. You just bought, actually a few months ago, the D750.
Right, I did.
So, can you tell some people what are some obvious differences you see from the D750 compared to even say like the D7100?
Well, sure. The D750 is a full frame camera. So that means when you attach a lens, you actually get the full length of what the lens actually says.
Yep.
Now, if you were using a non-full frame, you'd get maybe, I don't know, between 5 and 10 meters off, somewhere right there.
You could get a little bit more actually. It depends on the crop factor of the sensor. So, for instance, Nikon has a crop factor of 1.5, I believe. We shoot Nikon, by the way. 1.5 is their crop sensor. So basically, you would have to multiply your lens's focal length by 1.5 to see how much it would add on top of that. So say you were shooting let's say something simple, like a 50, it would be more like a 75 millimeter on the crop sensor camera.
Only goes so far in a full frame before it completely just darkens out and washes out. And the
crop sensor, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's really great. This camera, well, remember when we did that one wedding over in Carbondale area? We rented the 750 for that day, and it was phenomenal. I mean, we were inside this building. It was low lights because, you know, you kind of have that mood for a party like at a wedding. And the D750, it was a phenomenal performance. Now, even though I was still shooting with the 7100 at the time, I had some leeway when I used my flash. So you kind of can get away with it, but really, full frame is the way to go.
Yeah, I think so. So to really answer the question, as far as what kind of camera should like a novice start with, if you're just a novice, then if you're not planning to go into it professionally eventually, you can get a crop sensor, you know, and it's not like we're giving you permission. You can buy whatever you want. We're just giving you our recommendations. Crop sensor is fine for someone who just does it as a hobby, someone who just wants to take some nice pictures or whatever, that's fine. But if you're eventually going to take that novice status to actually like doing it as a career or like a part-time job or something like that, you need to invest in a good camera, and I honestly would start with the full frame.
That actually brings up a very good point. For someone, if this is going to be a professional business, you kind of want a budget. But if you're just doing this for like fun on the side, you do it every once in a while, then you don't have to budget so much. But still, if you want the better camera, you're obviously going to have to save for it.
Yep.
Which may take some time, but in the end, it's actually really worth it. I know I'm satisfied.
Exactly. That's how I feel as well. And, you know, I started with the D7100 was my first camera, and I thought, you know, I hit the jackpot. You know, I had the cream of crops of cameras.
Right.
I was like, wow, look at me, I've got a professional camera. You know?
Look out, world.
Yeah, look out, world. Ben's on the scene, you know, and I had a kit lens 18 to 140. It was a variable aperture lens, which means that it goes from, when you zoom in, it's at 5.6. When you zoom out, it's at 3.5. And so I was like, man, I've got the best lens on the market, and I've got the best camera on the market. I was so ignorant. Like, I really didn't know I could upgrade from there.
Right.
It sounds stupid, but seriously, I didn't really realize that. And so now that I've kind of like saved my money, invested in some different cameras, some different lenses. I currently have 5 lenses and 2 camera bodies. Getting ready to sell one for the new mirrorless camera, the Z6 coming out.
Right.
Gonna sell my 750. I love that camera, but the Z6 is gonna fit my needs more as a videographer for the channel, and obviously for my photography needs as well. But yeah, definitely the thing is, when it comes down to it, I realized that the full frame, hands down, was the better camera in the end. And so if you can afford it, you know, if you have a budget like of $1,000 that you're gonna invest on a camera, I honestly would just save a little bit more.
Yeah, for just like
good
what?
Full frame.
About like 600 more, about 1,600. You would be able to get, I think, close to 7,100.
Yeah, it just depends, really.
Yeah.
It really just depends, and so, yeah. Hopefully, we answered your question.
Actually, you kind of got the jump on me in lens because I only have 2. I got the 50 and the 105.
We're gonna have to get that lens count up. There's a guy, I can't remember who's watching, some YouTube personality. He had like 10 lenses or whatever.
Oh my. Kind of makes us look bad.
Well, dude, get this. You know who the angry photographer is?
Actually, no, I haven't heard of this person.
His name's Ken Wheeler. He's like the most controversial photographer on YouTube.
Oh, boy.
He said he has over 500 lenses.
There's no way.
That's what he claims.
There's no way.
He's got like 10, 15 camera bodies.
Yeah, is this dude like a millionaire or something?
I don't know, dude, but he says he's owned every single Nikon lens ever.
Wow.
500 lenses, I guess you can do that. That's pretty impressive. He says it's ridiculous how many lenses he has. He's like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Get that guy to give us some money.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, we got another question from Primo420.
This one looks like says, what kind of starting camera should I select for shooting YouTube videos? Mainly indoor tutorials, little movement, less blogging, more teaching at home, low budget.
Low budget. Well, it depends on what you mean by low budget. Could you like give us a budget? That would be epic. Really, when it comes down to cameras, something that's I hear that's really good that I've been interested in as far as like a small camera, not too expensive, and it'll get the needs done, has great autofocus and all that, is the Canon M50.
And what does that run for?
I think it's like you can get it with a lens for like $500 or $600, somewhere around that.
That's not too bad, actually.
And it has Canon's, I think, their dual pixel autofocus system in it, which is their awesome tracking autofocus system. It's very good. It's a mirrorless camera, so it's small and light, right? It's probably about that big or so. And, you know, they've got a few lenses for it and all that. Their little system. Of course, Canon's now coming out with their first full-frame mirrorless camera, which is going to run at $2,300.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But
better start saving Christmas money.
Yeah, so the that is definitely going to be a good camera starting out, and a lot of YouTubers use it. I hear the M50, the Canon M50. I just hear it's overall a great camera. So that's what I would recommend.
For video?
For video, because it's going to give you that autofocus.
Okay.
If you want to move up, it's a point and shoot, but it's phenomenal for video. It's the, I think it's the Sony RX100 Mark 5 or 6. That one runs about $1,200. It's a point and shoot, but I hear it's great for video, good autofocus, good quality overall, and all of that. So yeah, I would definitely look into the Canon. I think the Canon is going to be the best option right now, definitely. Also, you can maybe look at like a used Sony A6300 or something. I'm not going to really recommend the Nikons for video because they have terrible autofocus in video. Hopefully that'll change with this new mirrorless coming out. So, yeah, we'll see.
CJ says on Amazon they're selling the Canon M50 for about $699.99 with a lens.
So it's $700. If you don't get gray market, if you get gray market, I think you can get it for about $500, $600 on eBay or something. So that's what I would do. I actually looked at getting one for video, but since I'm getting the new Z6, I'm thinking that'll cover my needs.
Okay. I kind of want to move into a different kind of topic here. For what we do kind of like portrait event photographies, because we kind of do weddings and stuff, and then we do portrait sessions. There's actually different types of styles out there. You know, of course, you got your freestyle. You know, you just go and shoot whatever. You got landscaping. You know, all those kind of like what they have for National Geographic. All those, you know, landscaping and
wildlife. And all that. Yep.
Yeah, you got those. Of course, you got the ones. You got event photography, like weddings, of course. All those ones for like sports and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then you got kind of like for newspapers, you got journalism. So if you got like some sort of a special event going on, you know, you got that.
Exactly.
There's many different styles out there.
Yeah, there's many different styles. And the one I see a lot of people doing because it's easy is portrait photography. A lot of the people who get the little cameras for their birthday and Christmas and start offering their services because they're photographers now because they got a camera, do a lot of portrait photography, I noticed. Some of those other ones like wedding photography, wildlife photography can be hard to get into. Real estate is a big one.
Yeah, that is actually.
Real estate's honestly probably one of the biggest styles of photography right now where people are making the most amount of money.
Right.
Is in real estate, I would say.
Yeah, because there's always people trying to sell property.
Yep, exactly. And so job security and can make some good bank off of it, you know.
Yeah, you can.
But yeah, that's really the problem, and that really goes back to the whole post-production thing, where people add too much vignette or they add too highly saturated colors or something like that. That's normally where I see it at, is the portrait photography, where people are trying to get into. So that could be a problem for a lot of portrait photographers. And one thing I really want to highlight is that, and maybe people don't see this, like maybe they're thinking I'm being like petty and picky, but really when people get like a camera, have no professional photographers.
Right, because it's the cheaper products, and of course, you'll end up having to pay double to get a correction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a problem. Yeah,
exactly. And it may not be as big of a problem in, like, say, a big city. You know, like a bigger city where there's more people, more wealthy people, all that. But in smaller towns, smaller areas, it definitely starts to be an issue. Because, like I said, you start taking business, like you said, because it's cheaper. I was about to say the better of the two deals. It's usually not. But it's cheaper. You know, it's going to be better than what I can take with my phone or my point and shoot or whatever. So people are like, we're just going to go with it. You know, but it's still, it becomes an issue at the end of the day for me. And we've actually had personal experience like this.
Right.
Where someone will say, like, on that marketplace, they'll put up looking for a photographer to do a couple photography or something, couples photography. And there'll be like 150 comments on there with all kinds of people. So-and-so photography, this photography, so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Tag this person, you know, or whatever. And it makes it hard for people who are trying to do this as a profession, get jobs, all that.
Right.
To get jobs, because people are going with all the cheap services. And unfortunately, like we said, the quality's just not there.
It's kind of sad, really. Both you and me have seen a lot of sadder looking photos because of these issues.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind how some people will go for the cheaper, and
I agree.
It just looks bizarre.
I agree. We're coming down to the end of the live stream. We'll be ending in about 7 minutes or so.
We actually got another question.
Oh, good.
From Primo420. He says, do you have a drone? If you do, does it provide income for you? I heard you can invest in a good drone and then take farm overhead pictures, etc. for people and make a lot of money. That's actually a good question.
It is. I used to have a drone. I don't now. Just because I didn't use it that much.
I think that kind of applies more for like, say, like, I'm gonna name some big cities, like like Florida. You know, you have say a beach wedding. You know,
mm-hmm.
Of course, some people want they want video to remember that. So of course you're gonna have a drone and, you know, do flybys and stuff and do some really cool stuff with drones.
Mm-hmm.
You can also do, like, say, like cliffside weddings or something like that.
Yep.
So yes, drones can be a good source of income, but of course there's always the problem with, you know, all the regulations and stuff for drones, which can get you hung up.
Exactly. And
especially with the people who don't believe in drones. You know, I've seen countless videos of where drones got shot down because it crosses over into private property and people get offended by that kind of stuff.
Sure,
so
absolutely. Well, they don't know what it is, or
right.
Are they spying on me, or what's going on? But, you know, that's true. You're absolutely right, and that's part of the reason I didn't get it was the regulations.
Right.
They heavily have regulated drones now. I mean, to the point where if you're going to do any work commercially, making money, selling your work, all that,
right,
you've got to have a license. You've got to go through a training course. You know, how to properly fly the drone, all that. It just becomes a hassle. I do like drones. DJI, I owned a Phantom 3. DJI within the last couple of years have come out with some amazing drones.
I've seen some footages from the drones. They are amazing, really.
And they're compact, you know, so that helps as well. You can carry it in your backpack, or You know, like a little, maybe even a computer case if you have enough room.
The only major problem I see with drones is the fly time, you know, because it can only have so much fly time. That can be an issue, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a major issue I see for myself. Yeah, but yeah, those regulations can really kill you. It
can be a killer, that's for sure.
So, yes, it can be a good source of money, but it's very, I'm going to say risky with all the stuff involved.
Yeah, especially if you don't have a license for it. It could definitely become a problem, not only for your work, but legally as well. Yeah, that's not good at all. So don't fly your drone illegally, okay? If you're selling your work, don't do that.
Right.
But yeah, I would like to eventually get a drone again. Especially, we've got some videos we're planning up right now for the channel. Could be really cool to get some drone shots, you know. So, we may get a drone again. But we'll see what happens. We'll see where the channel goes. We've grown from, what was it, like 30 subscribers to over 1,500 now.
Yeah, in the last few
year
months.
And 2 months.
Yeah.
You know, so we're doing pretty good, I think, you know. We're probably not going to get to our goal that we had hoped for by the end of the year. It said 50,000, but maybe we'll get to 3,000 or 4,000. Who knows, you know?
Hey, as long as the subscribers keep going up, we'll know we're liked.
Exactly, and so that's the big thing, and we're very thankful to, you know, everyone who has subscribed to the channel, everyone who stayed with us. That's very exciting, and we're just very humbled. So if you're one of our followers, thank you so much for following us. It really does help the channel out.
Oh, let's talk about our channel in the last few minutes that we have here.
All right, yeah. So what do we?
We started off with some, you know, kind of introductory videos, and then we kind of grew into, well, mainly you took off because I'm currently in school at the moment, and I don't have a lot of time.
Right.
But I still have plans to try and get some videos out of myself.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that goes. But we grew from, you know, basic 3-4 minute videos to kind of like 15-minute tutorials, you know, info on how to do this or that and whatever platform you're editing in. So there's actually a lot of useful information that we have for people who want to learn how to edit and shoot and that kind of stuff. And we're always, well, he's always constantly adding updates and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to be working on more tutorials for the channel. Photoshop, Lightroom, maybe do some Premiere stuff as well for video editing and all that. I'm not a great video editor. I don't tout myself as that, but, you know, I know a little bit of things, and I'm willing to share what I know. But anyway, yeah, we've got some great content coming up. Some lens reviews, some cameras reviews.
Eventually want to do some, like, kind of like behind-the-scenes kind of stuff.
Yep, we're coming up on that. We've got some sessions lined up that I'm gonna take my GoPro, and you're gonna bring your camera out, film us shooting and stuff like that at the session. So yeah, we've got some great content lined up for the rest of the year, I think.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good at this point, I'd say.
We're gonna have a Nikon D850 review, have a Sony A7 III review within the next few weeks. I just got a new lens.
Oh, did you?
The Nikon 28mm 1.4,
oh, nice.
which we're going to do a review of. And I've got all my lenses we're going to do a review of. We'll do reviews of your lenses.
Of course.
The D750.
The 750.
You know. So we've got a lot of stuff we can review and a lot of content we can come out with. So it takes time to edit that stuff. So that's really the major thing. So anyways, guys. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I'm going to read one more comment here from Primo420. He says, YouTube is about your pace, no one else. Don't compare yourself to your growth rate to anyone else. You're doing awesome. Keep it up. So thank you for that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And, you know, that's really great. And we know Daniel. We know Daniel.
We know Daniel.
Primo420.
Yeah.
He's got a channel.
This one's for you. I'm that Asian kid.
The Asian kid.
The Asian kid.
But he's a great supporter. Daniel, you're a great supporter, and we appreciate it. So anybody who's watching still, go follow him. Because he's a cool dude. We like him. So, okay. Well, we're 45 minutes in, and that's kind of the cap we decided to put on these live streams. We go too long, it gets a little draggy, a little boring, we just start talking about whatever at that point, you know. So anyway, stay tuned for more content on this channel, Belingle. And once again, before we leave, we just want to say thank you to all of our subscribers on this channel. And if you're willing to support this channel in any way, shape, or form, you can do that via YouTube by subscribing to us, liking the video. You can also follow me on Instagram, instagram.com/BenLingleOfficial, or support us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Belingle. Any final words, Josh?
Like I said,
we appreciate you all, and thanks for watching. We just got 6 people as we're getting ready to wrap this thing up.
That's
guys,
funny.
so sorry. We're gonna go, but once again, like we said, just subscribe to the channel, and we really appreciate you all. So we hope you all have a great night or a great morning, depending where you may be watching from. So anyway, yeah, stay tuned for more Belingle Lives. We're doing it, like we said at the beginning, the last Monday of every month, starting at 8:30 Central Time, going to around 9:20-ish Central Time.
So look forward to it and don't be late.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be late. As long as you're on time, we'll be on time. All right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We hope you have a great day. And as always, Belingle out.